All right, we're going.
We're going. It's happening right now.
Sarah, we did the thing.
We did the thing.
We did the thing. It took a while.
It did.
Mostly my fault.
No,
since
no,
the inception
dude,
of the idea.
my fault. Well, that's my thing is like when I say we did the thing, we defeated the big bad evil guy that is scheduling.
Yeah.
Like that's really the accomplishment we've achieved today.
Yup.
So,
and we coordinated 8 crazy ass people to do it.
Oh my gosh. It was what a fun experience this was. I don't know, like maybe we can start there. Like talk to me about like your cast and like how it was going in and how it was once you revealed that we were doing the crossover. And was there a difference?
So I think so. Going in, so my cast, it's hard to talk about the cast I had without comparing it to yours.
Oh, for sure. They are very different. But I think this is also a great opportunity to kind of highlight those players and the skills they bring and to the table.
You know, that alluding to the TPK experience, because I think that is a big thing for TPK overall, is the diversity of personalities that come to the tables. So mine was, and they even pointed it out at the beginning of the combined session, mine was much more goal-focused, goal-oriented, like task. Task-oriented. They were. They did the notes. They did the whole strategy. Like, what are we doing and why? And while still very good at the whole role playing and improvising thing, they were much more like task and goal focused. And for clarity, you had Foxy, Proper Nerdy, and Archival Dust Bunny in your crew, in your squad. Yes. They also very much brought, I guess for lack of a more interesting term, optimized characters to the table.
Yeah.
So like, everybody had all sorts of cool, unique, fun stuff when it came to like combat, especially. But I do want to highlight Archival's like hit them hard, fuck them up good kind of thing, because that happened. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was such a cool build, and that character, I loved the low keyness of it, like the silent confidence of like at any minute I could rip the foundation of this building apart with my bare hands, and like you believed it.
And then she did.
And then she did.
It was insane. And then Proper's character with the mix of might and magic, and then Foxy brought the changeling to the table.
Druid,
it was such a cool mix. But yeah, the overall feel was a lot more goal and task focused, get the thing done. But then when they needed to throw hands, they threw hands. When we came together, to answer your second question, I feel like an actual melding of the best kind happened, because I want to have you answer the same question about the beginning with your
and then
crew.
we'll talk about that bringing the worlds together. My cast was Bright Dystopia, Kohlrabi, and Keegan EXE, and full disclosure, I had played with all 3 of them in the most chaotic of terms. Like they are not unaccustomed to my bullshit. And so when I said, hey, I'm going to run a one-shot in D&D, they all showed up and were like, bet. We're level 15. And they were like, oh, are we? Like, from the jump. Like, from me, like, inviting them all to chat, they were all, who are we building? What are we bringing? And they brought statistical monsters. Like, absolute disaster. Like, they were incredibly optimized characters. Like, beyond my wildest understandings of the game. And I was like, go for it, guys. Like, have fun. And then they asked about magic items, and I was like, yeah, like here's the parameters that we set for both of the casts. Go for it. I think they all maybe Cole didn't. I can't remember now, but I'm pretty sure they all chose cursed items. They all intentionally chose cursed items.
Yeah.
Which like is just like that's just the vibe that they went with. Like that was
a testament
like,
to their chaos.
They were just like, we want to have fun and be really good at it, but we also want to like make it not hard for ourselves, but we also want like just bullshit in here.
Right.
And like we ran through the first session, and it was truly like it was just phenomenal, just garbage time. Like they were paying like Keegan paid really close attention to details, was taking notes in the Discord, all the stuff. Like Cole was just focused on being the edgiest edgelord, and you know, Bright was like picking up as we went through. There were multiple times where like there was a brow raise, and I feel like they were clued in, but like the focus I think was more, let's be these characters and like let's just fuck shit up. And the big thing that they all kind of really hooked on with this particular project was being the bad guys, like being in the Zhentarim. They were very thoughtful about why would my guy be with the Zhentarim, and really thoughtful about that. And then that leads us to the crossover, where they saw all the tweets going out, and they were like, hey, this looks like our session. This sounds like what we did. And I was like, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't say anything. And then like you revealed at the end of the session, and they were like, what the heck's going on? I was like, surprise. And then they went, well, we're a bad squad. They're a bad squad. We're gonna have to kill the other bad squad. Like they just like wait. So hard, and like it was all for fun and goofs, but it was amazing. They were just like, well, we're bad guys, so clearly we have to crush our enemies.
And like, they just like accepted it, right?
They're not your enemies. You're not like opposing them. Aren't we though? And like once we got to the table, there was like a little bit of trepidation on my part, because even for the meme, like that is a table that absolutely would have done it. And so it was like, okay, great. But then we brought everybody together, and we had that like moment of like, okay, here's the information. We're like RPing separately. Here's the crossroads. And I remember like IMing you, got him. Like there was a moment where they bought into like, we're doing this together, and like the parties just like aligned. And it was really cool to experience as a GM, because it was like, oh, we got him. Like,
yes, it was in like the best possible way too. And I feel like this is one of the many reasons I was very much looking forward to doing this with you, because I knew that one of my strengths to bring to the table is the sort of writing, the story, and the monsters. And one of your strengths that I definitely look up to and respect about you is the role-playing aspect of making the connections happen. So the writing was there, and the sessions had been there to make the connections happen, but the acting it out to see the actual click, the aha, you very much made that happen, and it was beautiful.
It worked out great. I talked to Bright about it afterwards. I was like, you know, what do you think was that thing? And he said, you gave us someone that we hated more than each other. Like, like here comes in someone who like is just like spicy and sarcastic and like being a tool. And it was like, you don't like them, I don't like them. Let's just get the fuck out, or like let's figure out how we kill them. Like let's figure out how do we arm ourselves against this person. And like it was awesome. Like after that, it was smooth sailing. Like everybody kind of crossed over and worked together as a team throughout the rest of the session. And and I'm like so grateful to you, like talking about strengths and stuff, because I do think that this was a really well balanced GM duo. Because like you are thrive like in the like, but how would that work kind of space, and I thrive in the like make it work.
Right.
Like it's like it's this, like whether it's mechanics or RP or rules or flavor text or what have you, like there's a good balance there. So like if any point, like there were multiple times in the session I looked over and I was like, what do you think, Magic? Like how would you rule this? Or like, you know, like leaned on your expertise around the mechanics side. Cause like, again, I know the mechanics, I can like, but I just don't enjoy that part as much as the NPC interactions, as much as the like getting them to connect the dots and just sitting there and going, yeah. But like even like the monster stat blocks and everything, you managed all of that, particularly for our big bad dynamic duo bot in the end. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And the only thing that I would change is that we would have had more time.
I know. We had to nerf him.
Yeah, we had to speed things up at the end there, which is fine. It totally happens, but I definitely saved the big bad bot. So the premise here, for anybody watching, let's tie it all together from what you and I had discussed before the session happened. So we the premise from the monster, the big bad stuff to fight perspective was one session was about potions. Hello, kitty.
Pascal. She's got to make an appearance in everything I do, apparently. Hi, YouTube. This is my cat.
So one session was potions, very dangerous, potent potions that do crazy things. Another side was robots. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, how are we going to combine the two? So the premise coming in was basically smashing together potions of immortality with non-living thing robot that would be dangerous. So that's what we came into in the final encounter, was these big cauldrons of this finalized potion, which Proper's character had the wherewithal to take and study from that session, and then combining it with the I forget its name. What did you Fidget?
Gadget ended up being the one that was eaten. And that was the other thing. I did not anticipate any emotional attachment to any of the NPCs that I created in the one shot. But Keegan legitimately through the break was like, how do I save Fidget? And I was like, they are my only friend. And I was like, all right, dude, all right. We got, like, I promised going in, I'll make a way for you to get Fidget.
So then, we put those together, and then it was essentially across, I think it was one round, each. These potions are sort of charging up the big robot monster in its several parts while it's anchored up on this wall, but it's still part of the encounter. That was one of the two big things about it that I wanted to make happen, was that the pieces of the robot were still part of the encounter. So they were like shooting fireballs and eldritch blasts and healing spells at us while we were stalling for time, essentially in character for it to be completed. And then after each round, one piece completes, one piece completes, one piece completes, and then it comes together into the one big, oh shit, it's coming off the wall now. Oh, it's actually a thing. And then, between its legendary actions and then its spells were more potent as it sort of came out. And then Foxy turning into a humongous something or other, and just so we had a kaiju fight in there too.
Yeah, of course we did. Foxy's got to bring the kaiju fight. Come on.
Absolutely.
It was great. It was great.
So that was it. I say that was it. Like, it wasn't. There was some work put into that, and I think it turned out really well. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I'm really content with it. And again, I know we worked really hard on it, and like behind the scenes, we were like IMing through the whole session, like, how do we fix this and how do we go? And But I just again, I think I want to throw credit back to the players for just rolling with this project, because that was the thing, honestly, that I was the most nervous about. I knew we could GM, this is gonna sound pretty but I knew we could GM this. I knew that we could tell a story and have it make sense and do the things. But the thing that you can never account for is the players. Particularly we have a group of players that have bonded, and we have a group of players that have bonded. Now we have to have them do that together, but trying to preserve those in-party mechanics that make it meaningful, you know? And they crushed it. They were just delightful. And I was surprised at some of the stuff that people latched onto. Herman, Proper's character, was just very research focused, and was very much on figuring out the clues and solving the mystery. And then, Keegan just wanted Fidget back. Keegan was like, I'm getting my buddy back. And then I was really struck, Bright's character, Heartseer, in the intro of my session, I dropped that Velik, my big bad guy, was like, oh, Heartseer, hi, I've seen you around, we know each other. And then going into this session, Bright was like, yeah, no, they're friends, they know each other, they're acquaintances. And I'm like, that is an emotional angle on this story that I didn't fully consider. That there was an element of personal betrayal, but personal betrayal that this player brought to the table. And I was like,
chef's kiss.
This is so good. It's so good. I was so happy with that turn of events. And then once I had that, I leaned into it as we were like going through like the different rooms. Anytime the Heartseer had an opportunity to like interact with any like Velic information, was like, I'm gonna twist this a little bit more. Like it was great though. It was delightful, and we saw that like across the cast of like the different. Were there any moment like those chef's kiss, like I'm so proud of my party moments, like for you on your side of the table?
Yeah, the whole what am I trying to say? One of the biggest things that I like to play with, and just try to, you know, figure out how to play with as much as possible from a diversity perspective, is the call to action. And that, I mean, that's the case for any TTRPG or any, for me, it's mostly D&D. And it's a lot easier to do with long campaigns when you have so much time and so many opportunities to feed in details and see where the connections get made with the players and how do they interact with the world and the NPCs and each other. And there's just a lot of time for that to brew up and bind.
Miraculously brew, you mean?
With a one-shotter, in this case, a sort of mixed twofer for each group, you kind of have to just assume some buy-in. But I feel like both groups really went beyond just the buy-in, from just like accepting it as like, okay, it's a one-shot, or okay, this is a two-shot thing. We'll just do it. I felt like there was actual connection to the call to action. You mentioned you know, a few things with your characters. I think one of the bigger ones for me was Herman, Proper's character, with the research that you mentioned. Like he was very intentional and focused on the you know, figuring out the whats and the whys. So the call to action, the why of everything, actually had some glue, some connective tissue from the get-go, and it happened early in the Miracle Brew session. He from the get-go, once they got into the place and started doing the things, there wasn't a whole lot to interact with, but he did it. And that was by design. There wasn't a whole lot to interact with because I wanted to more react to what they did rather than like pre-write the whole thing, and if they missed it, they missed it. And it worked out so well. And then, of course, that's not to say there was any lack of it from Archival or Foxy either. I think that was just,
of course not,
one that really stuck out to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think from from my perspective on the other side, like I think it's important to stress like this, like player buy-in is what makes sessions work at all. Like if you want to have a good time, you gotta buy in. Like and like. Yeah, you just got to. Like, why else are you here? But I think we were really fortunate, like in that regard, to have players that were just like, yep, like across the board, yep. I want to talk about like two other things that I like was like I want to talk to them about these things. Our big bad evil guy characters that we ended up making. I was wondering if we could maybe get into like a little bit of the statistical sides of like what kind of people we brought to the table.
Ooh, yeah.
With that, you know what I mean? Like what was Vosek? Like what things were you considering when you made them? Because that was a new experience for me to like have like a character. Like I've done like NPCs with like stat blocks, sure, but this was like a character with like intentional choices made.
Exactly.
And that was a lot of fun. I liked it a whole bunch.
Okay, so we did end up having to, you know, for balance purposes, for the most part, we had to make some very stat block-esque modifications in order to, you know, make sure we could have a fight. Instead of just getting marked in one round because our players' characters were absolutely insane.
They were units. They were they were statistical anomalies.
Yes. Like, so we had to bring units to the table.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still happy with and proud of how that turned out because, as we said in the session, this was an experiment in a lot of things. One of those things was like as legit of a PvP Dungeons and Dragons experience as we could get. So yeah, we built these like actual characters from start to finish, level 15, but the only modifications we made were to add some HP so we could sponge a little.
Yeah.
And a couple legendary actions.
Yeah, correct.
But other than that, it was as legit of character versus characters we could get, which is really cool. But
yeah, I was surprised at how well it worked. Like, frankly, like I was like,
too.
I'm gonna get nerfed. Like, I'm just there. I'm not gonna be able to do anything. But I was surprised at how well the build held up, and I was like, oh shit,
it held up. And then the inclusion of the robot stuff.
Yeah,
the healing, if nothing else. Well, no, it wasn't just that. There was some healing in there, and then it was more things to focus on the table other than just us two.
Yeah.
So that balanced it out. But to actually answer your question,
yes.
Vasek Thrawn is the first D&D character I ever legitimately built and played was a wizard. In evocation wizard specifically. And once you said you wanted to do like a fighter type, I knew, okay, I'm comfortable with it. I know it really well, and it plays well with a get up close and smack 'em type of character. I'm doing a wizard. So I went full on evocation wizard, hit things hard from far away in a lot of different ways. Keep my partner character out of danger. So I went with evocation because of mostly the spell sculpting. So I could throw,
and it was phenomenal.
I could throw a fireball or a lightning bolt and the Crown of Stars and all that stuff. Well, I guess Crown of Stars is a single target anyway, but I could throw these.
But still,
fuck everything in this general direction, but still choose not to have it hit you intentionally.
But not you. You're my dude.
Yep. So that was the premise, and then a diversification of spells so that I could be focusing on Crown of Stars and still throw a fireball,
still have utility.
And still the thing I like to do is figure out how can I maximize a turn, what is action economy, and how can I I'm not much of a min-maxer when it comes to character builds, but I am a min-maxer when it comes to economy of a turn. So yeah, that was the premise. Throw a lot of magic craziness at the group, but intentionally not my ally.
So Velik was a Psi warrior or Psi fighter. What is it? Let me get the actual name of what it is. She was a protection Psi warrior fighter. Because we went in with the idea that these two are like siblings, right? Like that it's them against the world. And so like with that in mind, it was like, so like if it's just them, it's going to be like them protecting each other. And I love, like, we never really explicitly stated that, but I love that we both came in with that like energy of like, I'm going to fuck everybody except my dude. And my person was like, I'm going to keep you here so my guy can fuck you. And like, if you tried to hurt them, like, it's not going to work out for you. So I took feats like Sentinel, I took Tough, Weapon Master, Crusher, like I just loaded her up with as many like options for just like pushing or keeping as I could possibly think of. And it was the thing that was like, there was a moment of panic because like I rushed forward because I'm like, I'm going to keep you guys here while Vasek runs back, and they were all just, we're just going to surround you. And I was like, frick, like I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. And they 100% like hit hard, but the way it broke out, like it worked according to plan. Like none of them got close to you until you brought one close. And then the rogue like sprinted around. Like literally you had like you were fully safe until, and you probably would have been if you hadn't like pulled someone to you.
Right, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit as well. So mechanics and monsters and designing things, that's a lot of the fun that that I'm in right now with D&D stuff overall, and this little adventure overall. But that was something I did very intentionally from the build as well, because thinking ahead, I was very much like, okay, they're gonna surround one of us, if not both of us. So control the battlefield. That's another thing I like to think about a lot.
Yes.
So I took lightning lure, and I gotta admit, I modified it a little bit.
That's okay,
because
it was fun. It was
only
awesome.
a 10-foot pole, but
not in our game. It's not
right. No, I had to have some more fun with it. So I opened the fight with it to like show them I can do this. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
It was amazing. It
with
was so good.
The sort of like cutscene description of it, yoinked one of them, and I forget the exact line, but it was something along the lines of "You'll find me a little bit more direct," and then like threw them back with my magic.
Yes, which was like, which fed into the narrative we had laid before. Like it was all just like.
It's a lot of fun to do.
Good.
But then during the fight. You know, I had anticipated that, okay, they're going to realize that she hits hard up close and personal, and she's probably going to do that intentionally. So if/when we need to, I'm just going to yoink one away and say, hey, I'm your dude now. Let's go. And then we did it. So
it was awesome. And it's funny. You mentioned the controlling the battlefield. The reason I chose the Sci Fighter is because they have a leap function. So like if I got too bogged down, I could bonus action leap. Like if I chose to away and get advantage or whatever, get out if I needed to, because I fully anticipated that they would just whoomp. But the narrative that was happening where I was, and we ran out of time because that was the other thing too. I was like, I still had a lot of different things I could have done, but I was kind of holding on to them to try and really push it. And then it was I should have just burned through these. But it was a lot of fun to see. I think this is the magic of TTRPGs, is you go in with a concept and you pick 2 or 3 mechanics or game rules to back that up. And then to see it play out in the actual game is just, there's something incredibly satisfying about it. We had the moment with Dorsyra and Velik where it was the 2 heavy hitters, and it was I've been waiting for you. That was it was such a cool. And then Dorsyra kicked my ass. She came in and she was just yeah, fuck you, dude. And I was yes. It's hard to be mad about it. You're you did that, yes. It was great. And I'm surprised at how and I've played at games or at tables where GMs have done stuff like this, but it was the first time I had done something like this, of building an actual full character to play out as an NPC, and 10 out of 10 would recommend. It was relatively straightforward. Especially with the character builder and everything. I was pleasantly surprised.
Awesome.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was the first time I had play tested it for a campaign at one point, doing something similar, but I had not yet come to a live table with it. So, and especially at level 15, that was one of the very high risk experiments for this. This little adventure, and why we put it together in the first place. So I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, same. So the last thing I would love to get your thoughts on, because this was co-GMing is not a new concept at all, but it was the first time that we've done that. And I wanted to and I think we did a pretty great job. But
I agree.
I want to talk if other people are that's cool, I want to do that. What are some what are 3 things that you think made this successful from that co-GMing perspective?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So one absolutely I said absolutely probably.
Absolutely baby.
Right now in the moment, number 1 would be your recommendation to physically separate the group into 2, intentionally not in the same space at one point. That was huge. So basically from the get-go of Adventure Time, for the combined group, it was your part, my part, your part, my part, with no opportunity for crossover. So I think that, especially as early in the session as it was, that gave you and I a really good live opportunity to start figuring out some back and forth because it was built in. And then when we did have to overlap, I, at least on my end, felt a lot more comfortable than going in, don't know how this is going to go, because we had that separation and we had to actually pass the buck a couple times. It made it really comfortable. Yeah, I like that. Number 2, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I can honestly say I didn't really think of this as a part of it when I pitched the idea to co-GM with you specifically, but I feel like the whole the strengths that you and I bring to the table individually played so well together that it made everything work from just the idea and writing point all the way through to the live session. So that's number 2 for sure, is that I feel like you and I complemented each other's strengths really well. And then number 3, I'm gonna pat myself and you on the back here to say, let's do it. That's what we're here to do. Our ability, regardless of our individual strengths, in my case at least, I have a few areas. I'm not gonna call them weaknesses, but areas that I know I would like to develop more. Is the improvisation in the moment. So at least for my end, I intentionally, like, here's the space, here's some stuff in the space, like physically, like on the map in the room, but I don't like to I intentionally left the slate pretty blank, and it just forced myself to react to what the players wanted to do, and then put in, what do they observe, what's there, what happens as a result of the things that they try to do. So both of us, and you doing that in your own way, I don't think you left the slate like very blank like I did, but we sort of went off of each other with the individual pieces. So that's number 3, us going off of each other and the improvisation aspect. So I agree. Like, I love all the points that you made, because mine are very similar. I think number 1 for me, I think the reason like this quote unquote worked was the communication. Like we were talking, like, not only like this behind the scenes content, but it was like, hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to do in the crossover, like session. We were back and forth. What do you think about this? What are we going to do that? And even on screen, like, hey, like, it was communication, like, and there was no like ego behind it, because we were both there to like make a thing. And I think like that's really important, because it's like, if you're coming to a table to like make a thing, you gotta talk about it. The strengths in like in our different areas, absolutely, like they played off of each other really well. Like at no point where like it was surprising how easy that was. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just like, okay, this is a Sarah interaction, and this is a magic interaction. Like, and not like we physically like separated like the people, but even in like the end fight, when it was like you were juggling mechanic stuff, I would like jump in and be like, and I'm doing Sarah bullshit. Like, it was like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was that the combination of like, you could focus on the thing you were really good at, and I could focus on the thing that I was really good at. And it made something great. And I really, really liked that. And then my third thing, like, and this is, I posted my rules, like, in like the chat before, and really I'm just listing my rules in a different order. I think we went in with the expectation that this would be fun. Yep. Like I think that we were curious, we were excited, and we wanted to have fun, and that was a priority for both of us. And I think that played out, and like is what made it fun. Like at no point were we like, we are going to punish our players, or like, or, like the traditional like toxic stuff that can like sometimes come across as GMing. Our focus was like, we want to do these cool things. We want to explore this. We want to test out some shit, but we want to have fun. And like, we had that common vision that like united us, even though we have different perspectives of the table, even though we have different skill sets, like we had that common goal. So I think like if somebody else
if somebody else was going to be like, I want to GM with my friend, like, what do I need to know? Like, I feel like between your list and my list, you've got a pretty decent setup of like what you should aim for. That's not to say like a RP heavy and an RP heavy GM can't like run a session together. Of course not. But like, I do think there's a special magic of having those balancing strengths and weaknesses for sure.
Right. It definitely showed in the execution and the results for everything that ended up being a big part of the magic that ended up happening. So yeah, it was great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've got pretty much one for you. And if you have to force an answer, I would say don't force an answer. Because I am actually struggling with this myself, but I am going to answer as well. If you could change anything, would you?
This is a question I always ask myself after every session because like it's the curse of the GM. It's just like, what could I have done different? Like, and I feel like I maybe like, this is going to sound weird, but like, I almost would have planned less. That's not quite right though, because I feel like I almost feel like it should have been like one shot, two shot, like because of just like how much like narrative we had kind of built up between the two of us, like to get them to like the end of like it's been a betrayal,
right?
Like having like more time to build into that and having more time for this like new party that we made to kind of like ruminate. But even then, like I loved the very punchy, like quick paced nature of what we made. So I think that's just the like narrative like gremlin inside my brain that's like, really, Sarah, you just want to write books. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. you right.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's as close as I can get, because I'm honestly so impressed with how like well this went and how incredible the players were and like dedicated they were to like buying in. Like, even though we were, like, throwing weird shit at them, like, by the way, you're not playing with who you thought you were playing with, and there's two of us now. Like,
yep.
Yeah, I think that's as close as I can get to an answer to that.
Okay. I'm going to pat us on the back again a little bit and say, I don't think I would change really anything about what we did or how we did it. The only thing I would change is a D&D thing. And that is the BBEG is scheduling, right? To me, the second BBEG is how mechanic heavy everything can get. And I don't think I would change necessarily how mechanic heavy everything is, because as cumbersome as that can be, especially at a very high level when a whole combination of things can happen for any individual player, let alone those trying to synergize with each other.
Yeah.
It's part of the experience for D&D intentionally. You're building demigod-esque, epic level, epic ability characters, so there have to be mechanics behind it. If I could have all of our players and the two of us with 50 years of experience each, so that we could just rattle off, this is what I'm doing and this is how it works at a level 15 fight, that would have made the fight go a lot faster, and then we would have been able to keep everything more legitimate, quote unquote.
Yeah.
The things we had to change in order to save time.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's part of the gig.
Yeah, for sure.
At least at this point in the game for everybody involved. So.
Yeah. The thing is too, though, I like, because the thing that you made is absolutely insane. Number one, like if you're not releasing, like if you're saving that for something else, great. But at some point you need to like show the people like I made this, because like it's fucking nuts. But like going into kind of what we've already talked about and like the magic of TTRPGs, like we reached a point where like we're running out of time, we're getting sleepy, it's late, all the things, and we're like, okay, like we're pinging each other, like how do we wrap this up? How do we wrap this up in a way that's not like clearly like, and we can't do this anymore. And like, we just leaned into the narrative. Like, I just was like, by the way, the robot that you hate is still sentient inside this like thing. And like, Wolren was like, fuck that guy, I want my friend. Like, it was like,
yep.
And like the way that it all played out still felt epic and big and large, and like part of like it gave the characters that like badass feeling that they wanted. It gave us the cinematic like out that we needed. Like,
right.
It was really great. Like, instead of just by like, and then the bot just powers down because he gets a little tired. You know, like, right. I'm really impressed with like how well everything kind of came together and worked out. And I'm like, again, this was a long time in the making, but I'm really glad that we like made it.
Right.
You know, like you had a cool idea. You came to me and I was like, this is a cool idea. Here's my cool idea. And then we made it. And I think like that for me has been a big lesson of this is like, make the cool thing. Like, just do it. It's going to be cool. Like, you have the right idea. Make the cool thing. Talk to your friends. Make cool stuff. Do it. Just do it, man.
Make cool shit. Do some crimes.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Do all the crimes.
Yeah.
As long as they're cool.
Yep. And we used Zhentarim to definitely make that happen.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I think that was kind of one of the last big things for me is, despite life, especially on my end.
Same here. Same here. We're good.
Yeah. Despite life for both of us, and that, I mean, that's always going to happen. That's always going to be on the table, so to speak, when it comes to trying to make a thing happen. But
for sure,
I'm in the same camp as you. Just do the thing. And even if it ends up being a complete flop, you did the thing. And it's so satisfying that the thing got done. And despite how successful this one was, well, I shouldn't say despite, but I can't think of a better way to say it. As successful as this was, there's still a whole bunch of stuff that we both learned from it.
And that's exactly what I wanted to get into. It's like because I feel like I learned a lot, and it made me want to do more things. You know what I mean? It was like, this is great. And now these things. What were like those things for you?
One was, so there's I'm gonna figure out how to say this as I'm saying it. That's one thing. Figuring it out as I'm doing it. Which, I started one long running campaign that's still going now about 4 months, I think, before starting the Queen's Gambit campaign that I'm now running and still running with TPK.
Yeah.
So I'm now running these two very long-term campaigns. And from the beginning, and it's still happening today, a year and a half later in those cases, that I'm figuring out how to, in the moment, figure it out. Make the things happen, keep it going in the moment. And there was a very different aspect of observing. You are one of several GMs that I very much respect and like take notes from and like to observe as much as possible. But then there was being at the table at the same time in the same chair with you. And the observation aspect of like, I mean, there were some points where I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's so much fun. Like, I'm not just watching Sarah do her Sarah thing and like fully get into a character and smack everybody around, not only verbally, but with the abilities that she's put together with her character, but I have to do it with her. And that was so cool. So learning how to interact with other people at the table and characters on the board. This was a new angle on it, and I took a lot away from it. So yeah, I think that was probably my biggest thing.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because there were multiple times I felt like the same way. Like, you do something cool, I'm like, that was so fucking cool. Like, I want to do that shit. And like, that's like the energy that like I bring, like that's important to me. Like, I like playing with people that like are inspiring to me. Like, you did that initial like pull, like they walked in, and you're like, fuck you, and like brought them close, and I was like, that shit was so cool. Oh my God. Like, it felt big and epic and all the things, and I was like, get them.
I actually got that from inspiration from you, believe it or not. Yeah. So like you mentioned earlier, or we both mentioned, so one of my primary strengths is mechanics and rules and being able to, you know, quickly make things happen within those parameters because of the knowledge and despite the short timeline, all the intentional experience behind that. I want to role play better. Okay. Role playing is an area that I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say I'm weak there, but I definitely want to be better with it, especially within the D&D space, because it is so mechanic heavy and because I am such a mechanic focused person. I want to role play better. Sarah is a role play goddess.
Like you're so nice. Thank you.
I mean it. So I'm like, okay, every time I watch your shows, whether it's from the GM side or from the player side, role play. Sarah's gonna role play epically. There's no question. Even if she's having an off day, she's gonna role play epically. So what can I do to like emulate that more? So the idea of opening up that fight with well, I can do this mechanically, so why not just like, and I've been doing it in my shows, the campaigns now too. I've sometimes said, okay, I'm just going to describe a little cutscene for you. So let's just sit back and watch. That I got that from inspiration from your role playing.
That's awesome. That's so sweet. Thank you. But like, seriously, dude, you crushed it. Cause I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I was so amped. Cause it's like, and that's why I think TTRPGs are so great. Cause it's like this like exchange of like energy to just like, like you did a cool thing. Now I'm going to do a cool thing. And then we're going to both do a cool thing. And it's just like, it's a lot of energy. Like that's so sweet. It makes me so happy. But like, hell yeah, dude. Like, I think that's do the cool thing that you want to do. Like mechanics exist in the real world. You know what I mean? Like we interact with them enough.
Right.
I think for me, I think the thing I learned, particularly like, and there's people who will watch this and they're gonna laugh as I say this. I don't have to prep as much as I think that I do. Like the magic of the improv and like is going to come through. Like we did talk a lot and we did put a lot together, but like because we couldn't account for the players in this last session, our outline was pretty loose. Like as far as like a note-taking perspective for me, it was like the barest of bones. Like it was like, okay, this is what'll happen in this room. This is what'll happen in this room. Great. And then we like filled out the details on our own. You handled the map making, which thank you so much. Like I can make a map if I'm forced to, but you crushed it and it looked great and it was awesome.
Thank you.
So kudos to you for that. Absolutely. But I think like being able to just kind of walk in and say like, this is what we're going to do here. And like having that be enough was something that like was like verified for me, and like particularly in this session because I was playing with people that I play with all the time. I was playing with people that I don't play with all the time, and the note just said Sarah will introduce an NPC and get them to agree. Like that was like the note, and so like Sarah can do that thing, and that was really cool. The other big thing was the like takeaway is like work with other like GMs. Like this whole experience was like, I need more of this. Like I need to be like creating on this level with like more GMs with like these skill sets that are just like not the same as mine. Like again, I'm like, you like sat down and like thought out how to like build these monsters and how it would work for, like from a mechanical perspective. Because what I would probably have done is just like found some random stat block and then flavored the shit out of it and be like, I can do whatever I want. But you put the time and the effort to say, no, this is what will make sense within like the confines of the game. And I think that like that shows and like gives like, it gives the game, like you're able to do more there. Like my way is very like half-assed. And so I think like learning to like, no, take this part of the game a little bit more seriously. Like I'm still gonna do my own thing, but take it a little more seriously so you can have that like mechanics to like lean back on, and it's just another tool in your toolkit. So definitely those two things. Hey Sarah, you don't have to write out every thought you ever had ever, but also maybe do some math sometimes, you dumb. Like those are the two.
Yeah, I think probably my biggest takeaway is definitely going to be from this. We're now talking about it quite a bit, and it's fine because it's great. That's an intentional part of this. The melding of what we did from our individual strength corners. I am role playing and flavoring a lot more stuff, even in the midst of a fight, which is usually more like, okay, this is next. Click the stuff, roll the numbers, make it happen, go. There's a lot more flavor coming into my interactions in even just the fights, and I'm trying to do this mix of understand mechanics so well that I don't have to stop what's happening to math it out and make it happen, but also if I get caught on something in the moment, don't worry about it. Until about a year ago, and even until this, there are still points where I'm like, I get stuck because this thing has to happen because the piece of paper or the screen tells me it has to happen. So I got to figure out how to make it work and all the details behind it. But one thing I'm absolutely yoinking from you is sometimes you just gotta send it. Like, don't worry about it, man.
Like. It's just, and I think this is why, like, getting to, like, play with other GMs is, like, so, like, important. There's a weird, like, I've talked about this a lot, like, with, like, Murder and Coffee and, like, different places. Like, there's this weird barrier, I feel like, between GMs. Like, we have our little stories and we have our things that we kind of, like, get all down in our little, like, secret cave. And then we go, haha, like my secrets, they're so interesting and cool. and they super are. But like starting the conversation between GMs to like build off of each other's strengths, to get ideas, to get inspiration, I think is like particularly like in the streaming space because it's so accessible. I think a lot of it's like carryover from home games where like you are the GM for your friends and you never get to talk to anybody about anything ever because like you can't tell them. Right. Then they'll know the secrets, and like there are very few people in your day to day that will be like very interested in the lore dump that you have about this one temple that you homebrewed. It was pretty sick. Like, you know, like so it's starting those conversations, and I think that's why for me, like the reason this worked is that conversation is, hey, like even when you first pitched, you were like, here's my idea, here's what I think, and I was like, and this can be the reason that person's motivated to do the thing. And you were like, yeah, but we got to figure out like what the hell that thing even is. And I'm like, right. Like, it's just, I definitely, and like through this, like being able to understand the mechanics better so I can just, like, I don't have to sweat it. Like, I can just do the thing and describe it as it is, because I do think that there's power in the mechanics. Whereas before I'd just be like, fuck them. Like, I don't care. It was, definitely a takeaway. This has been such a satisfying project to do.
Yes,
like,
agreed.
It's been really cool. I want to do this more, and I want to do this with like more people, because like there's absolutely like GMs in like the TBK space where I'm like, what would that even look like? Like,
let's find out.
What kind of story would we tell? You know what I mean? So I think talk to your GM friends, make cool shit with them. Just keep doing it.
Yep. Even if you can't talk to the players you have for obvious reasons that have been stated, talk to other people. Collaboration is so powerful.
It really is.
And even if it's just like bouncing ideas around through, you know, a Discord or your text messages and all that stuff, it's really not much different from what the players add at a table in the moment. It's just a little bit more preemptive. So you just get different perspectives, and those perspectives come from different experiences. And it just broadens the horizon, if nothing else, of what you see and think about when you're preparing anything. So this whole idea started as like 3 bullet points. It was try some experience in co-DMing and PvP and some big monster things that you want to create, magic, and then bring 2 groups together. And here's like an outlet, like it was basically like a writing prompt. was all we started with. Was I had let's do a potion thing, let's do a robot thing, and then put them together.
And somehow it'll come together.
Yep, and like everything you did, I would not have thought of.
And like the stuff that you did, I was like, oh, that's actually okay, all right. And like the thing that ended like, and then you had like the secret magic of like the players, like Cole's character dunking his head in the miracle brew.
I am a golden god.
It was so good. It was so good. And then like, you know, Foxy's character just wild shaping and like making everything like crazy. Like Bright's character being a barbarian that like rages by showing like empathy. Like it's his like. Like that's my thing is like we had these prompts and we were like building, but as we were building, like there was a completely unaccounted for like magic that happened. And like that's TTRPGs are great, like man, like because it is that constant like cool idea and like I legitimately there are moments from like running Sentient or in our combined session that like as a GM I'ma always remember. Like I'm just like the like top tier GM moments. Like there are just some really good ones there. Like I'm a shining golden god is going to live in infamy in my brain forever. It was too good.
And as a GIF, if nothing else now.
And as a GIF with all of our reactions, which like kills me because I'm just
so good.
That's my thing is like that GIF perfectly encapsulates like my entire experience with this thing where it's like this is amazing.
Yep. Oh, too good.
So good.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think we're going to be wrapping up soon. Anything else that you can think of that you wanted to throw around a little bit before we sign off?
I mean, I think we've pretty well covered it. Like, I'm so grateful for this experience, Magic. Like, thank you so much for reaching out and saying, hey, but what if we did some fuck shit? And me being like,
Yep.
Yeah, because like this was like I'm very grateful that like not only did you reach out, but that it was you that reached out to me and like did the thing. Like I think that while it would be fun to do it with other people, and I'm looking forward to those opportunities, the fact that it was you like and I in this like first kind of like let's figure it out stage, like I'm so grateful, like because you're not only are you incredibly like funny and kind, like you're thoughtful, and like we were able to like I was able to bounce like the creative ball back and forth with you, and like it was that good like continuing to escalate energy and like it was a delightful experience. It was easy. Like legitimately, the one thing that I feel like we ever had to contend with was scheduling. Ever. Like that is the one thing that was ever like, oh well, our lives are very different. Like, but like it was. I'm just really grateful that I got to do this. That I got to do this with you as like an incredibly talented collaborator, and I'm really fucking proud of what we did. Like, Same. I'm really proud of what we did, and I can't wait to like continue to make more stuff like this because I think it's great. Absolutely.
Yep. I'm gonna mirror a lot of that. I'm grateful that you took it on with me. I'm really excited about the fact that this whole thing started with, hey, by the way, Magic, we haven't played in a game together. We should fix that.
Yeah, that was it. I was like, wait, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
Like, we were...
And then all of this transpired, starting with that. So I do want to reiterate, I am incredibly thankful and in awe of your strengths and the fact that we were able to do that together. And the inspiration on things that I'm taking from you, that I have taken from you and will continue to. So yeah, this has been nothing short of a magical experience.
So good.
Fantastic.
So good.
Okay. Well, I think that's it then, yeah?
Hey, yeah, that's it.
Let's hey Sarah, who are you and all that jazz?
Yeah, hi. I'm Mo Sarix Franco. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter and all the places, like every single one at O Sarix Franco. I do a lot of TTRPG content on TBK Roleplay and some of our other like sister communities like Nat 20, Critical Misses, and Neon Lights Roleplay. So If you want to see what I'm up to, Twitter's the best place. I GM, I play a lot, and it's all generally a pretty good time. But that's where you come say hi. I tweet about every little thought that pops in my head, and also D&D.
Such is the Twitter space, right?
Yeah, it's true.
All right.
What about you, Magic? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm DatMaggicJuice. You can see on the screen how that is spelled out. It's a little play on nicknames. I am, well, at the moment, I'm very much a D&D long-term campaign guy. Who knows if / when that will change, but as of this recording, that's the case. One big one going with TPK. And at least the plan at the moment is when that ends up coming to a close, I'll have another one in the works and ready to roll soon after. I'm running another long-term campaign on my own channel on Twitch, and then I'm on the social media things as well, mostly focused on D&D and TTRPG stuff. So yeah, this is one of few one-shot / short adventures I do. Like I said, I'm mostly a long-term campaign guy. So if that's what you're interested in seeing, come check out the schedule for all those things. Yep. Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Peace out, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the series.